Okay, the only thing I've seen a lot of posts for is the fairy ball. Like I haven't seen a lot of
Suzanne reached out to me and she gave me a code for free tickets, but I didn't go. I thought about going. I wanted to go, but
no, I didn't know about the free tickets, man. I might have popped in if I'd known about that.
It was fun last year.
Yeah, it was happening during time, actually, when you were, I think, heading to Texas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been real busy this year, man. I mean, I'm still going back and forth.
Last night.
What was it? Last night? Oh, okay,
it was last night.
Last week.
No, it was last night.
Oh, I was unaware, dude. I just got back into town though, like last weekend.
We talked about it. It's okay,
dude. I've been really busy. Like,
oh right. Let's see.
And of course the Unity.
Yeah, the Unity thing, and then the Xbox. All right, we'll get started. Bum, bum, bum. All right.
Can't have a drum roll?
I mean, if you want. Welcome to Dicejunkies. I'm Xenodamus. I'm here with
Q.
And on Skype,
we have Bloodaxe.
All right, let's get started.
You may want to be careful about pulling that up.
Oh, wow.
You did not see that on the, I
did not.
That side panel there is problematic. Can you cover that? There you go. That ain't your fault, man. I don't know why on the side of that particular one they just had.
Yeah. Good call, though.
That definitely would have been demonetization there.
Wouldn't be the first time.
But it'd be the first time we weren't at fault.
Yeah.
So we didn't do it.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't think it wasn't showing anything, but it was definitely sketchy.
It's too much by YouTube's new rules.
Anyway, let's get started. Tim Burton thinks The Flash used AI for Nicolas Cage's Superman. Isn't happy. I mean, looking at Tim Burton's stuff, I mean, it's sort of dark. Is he ever happy? He just, I mean.
That one didn't land. You tried that. That one didn't land. What are you talking about? His zany, lively, morose, dark, gothic. Yeah. I got you.
I mean,
let's give him the backstory, though. So. Like, basically, there was a time that Tim Burton was working on a project, Superman Lives, where he had Nicolas Cage as Superman. And there actually are some shots of Nicolas Cage in the Superman outfit. Well, if you watched The Flash, which you probably didn't, and good on you if you didn't, I know The Flash Crisis, you can just leave it at that. But I think it was really Crisis Point, but it should just be called Flash Crisis. They had the Nicolas Cage Superman in there. Well, apparently, Tim Burton is saying, they used AI for the voice. So apparently there's a voice line in there from that Superman. And you know how big a snafu that is right now in Hollywood, that they, using AI to replace actors. And Tim Burton in particular, apparently he didn't get permission, but at the same time, he doesn't own Superman. So they probably were able to do it because they own Superman. But still is kind of stealing someone's work, though. I mean, I get his idea of, hey, man, don't.
Well, I mean, that depends. Did they buy his script even though they didn't use it?
True. I don't know if they went that far.
Because unless they bought his script, they don't own his script. They might own he can't publish his script without them, but they also cannot publish, his ideas. Now, I will say, Nicolas Cage is everything is an internet meme, so it's hard to say, oh, you got the idea of Nicolas Cage Superman from my script, in which, I wanted to do this, because, it's Nicolas Cage. His face is on pillows, his face is on,
Wait, his face is on pillows? Why do you know that?
Because I watched the internet. They put his face on everything.
You got mad last time I came over. They put his face on
other people.
You got mad when someone came over and told me not to go near your bedroom. Is there a Nicolas Cage pillow in there?
Is that what you're hiding?
You sure? There's not a body pillow, is there?
I do.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, you caught me.
Okay, because you freaked out. I was like, what?
My Nicolas Cage body pillow was out.
Don't go near my bedroom.
I want you going into my bedroom and seeing it. Dang it! You have uncovered truth.
We got the secret.
Yeah,
it's okay, man. Nicolas Cage is amazing.
Yeah. See, okay, good.
You know what? If it's the not the bees body pillow, that actually points because that not the bees. Okay, but back on point with a little bit. Let me read what he says. Go up a little bit. I want to read that out. No, I'm sorry, the other way. Yeah. But he goes into detail on it. This is Tim Burton saying, but it also goes into another AI thing, and this is why I think I'm over it with the studio, he explained. They can take what you did, Batman or whatever, and culturally misappropriate it, or whatever you want to call it. Even though you're a slave of Disney or Warner Brothers, they can do whatever they want. So in my later years in life, I'm in quiet revolt against all this. Now, I get what he's saying, because you remember, deep fakes were a big issue for a while back on a certain site. And the thing is, if they're using AI to put words into someone's mouth, they can make you say something you don't agree with. So I get that. Like, it is disturbing that they start throwing AI lines.
Now, I guarantee you, if they did use AI on Nicolas Cage, they had to have gotten approval from Nicolas Cage. I can't see them
disagree.
not being able.
I don't think they did that at all.
I know. I mean, they do say it is known Nicolas Cage was on hand to film the Superman scenes. So maybe they just said, "Hey, look, Nick, there's not a lot. Can we just use your likeness? Let's sign a deal for so many words of your likeness and just be done with it that way. You don't have to show up in studio. You don't have to."
I mean, that'd be nice, yeah. But you really think Warner Brothers or Disney or anybody would care?
If Nicolas Cage is in The Flash and he didn't sign off on it, he's suing the fuck out of him right now.
If they own the rights to Nicolas Cage Superman.
No. Even if they own the rights, they don't own the rights to his likeness unless he signed off on it. And that's
but Mark Hamill signed off his likeness to Disney, so they can do whatever they want to with Mark Hamill.
He screwed up big time, yeah. I know it was a nice check probably, but with what Disney's about these days, let's not go there. But, like, I just wouldn't trust them to put words in my mouth. That's all I'll say. Not Disney. Not Disney / BlackRock.
So my thing is if they used AI, Tim Burton should probably be pissed off at Nick Cage, too.
No, that's valid if he signed off on it. I mean, I'm just saying I understand where he's coming from, the concern, because it's a big concern now about that they're going like, hey, we're worried about them using AI likenesses of us to do stuff. Now, like you said, theoretically, they have to sign off on it. But then how close can they make it look like you and sound like you without it exactly sounding like you to not get hit with that problem, though? Like, how well protected is your likeness? Because, we've seen imitators. I watched a whole comedy bit recently where Bill Burr...
that's not Nick Cage. So.
I'm not talking about in this case in particular. I'm talking about the general conversation. I watched a whole show recently where a character actor did a whole bit as Dr. Phil, and he had Bill Burr on his show. And I didn't know it was a character actor until I read the comments. I thought it was freaking Dr. Phil. And it said Dr. Phil on there. So I said, well, did he get permission or is he able to do it because it's parody? Then I said, well, if he can do that without needing permission because it's comedy or parody, can an AI do that and say it's comedy or parody and still avoid it? You see what I'm saying? Like, the legality, I think that a whole new legal battle about this is going to pop up within a few years.
Oh, well, it already has a couple of times, and it keeps getting bounced around courts and stuff. This isn't the first time this come up. It's come up in video games. It's come up in the modding community. It's come up in, AI and deep fake and voice modulars are a common debate and common to go into the courtroom. Mm-hmm. Often being settled outside of court, so there's no real...
Which means we don't have a common law on it because the trials are not being completed.
Well, because and that's when any new technology and new question in the law comes out, that's usually how it's dealt with for a while because no judge wants to be the one to make that verdict.
I get it.
Because then from that point on,
people are going to constantly reference. Yeah. And if it gets thrown out later, then everybody be like, "Oh, so that guy was wrong." Yeah. So nobody wants to be in the history books, and they don't have to be. The legal history books even. It's like you're now constantly being referenced. But I'm just defending Tim Burton on that. Amongst Tim Burton's many flaws, I get his concern. Now, whether it's valid here, I don't really know or believe it is. But I get the concern of him going, did they AI this voice without talking to me or Nick? Now, logically, he should have talked to Nick before he made a statement. and found out. Because if Nick comes out and goes, nah, man, that ain't what happened, then he looks stupid. So he should have checked with Nicolas Cage to see. Because you're right. If he was brought in the film, you should have checked.
I like Tim Burton's take on Batman, so I sort of and this is why it sort of even came up to me was the fact that I like Tim Burton. I like a lot of his work.
I've only disliked one of his works very much. I did not like his Willy Wonka. I know he tried to stick closer to the book, and honestly, as much as I love me some Johnny Depp, I think Johnny Depp could not beat Gene Wilder. Like I just don't. I feel like, man, you put him up against the guy who brought that character, because the creepiest Wonka is still Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder's Wonka was downright scary in more than a few points, and Johnny Depp never pulled it off. And I like Johnny Depp stuff. That's the only misstep when he said, "I'm gonna keep this closer to the book." You know what? Closer to the book. Do we want to talk about the Oompa Loompas?
I was going to say that.
Yeah, like sometimes you don't want to be closer to the book.
Getting too close to the book could be a whole nother problem. I mean that. I don't know if a lot of that book is socially acceptable.
Not much at all. The Oompa Loompa part is jacked up. So,
all right.
You know what? Sometimes you got to go, maybe this is a little. Yeah. You can improve something.
I am curious where this leads,
well, I mean, we got to wait for Nick.
Yeah, it's definitely something to watch. But yeah.
It's going to be decided by Nick. What Nick says will be the final word on it.
Well, there is one thing you're forgetting, though. Mm-hmm. There is a law that says Nicolas Cage must be in every film, so this should be fine.
Well, but if it wasn't Nick Cage and they faked their Nick Cage, that's a cardinal sin.
Yeah.
You must have the Nick Cage.
Bad memeing. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about how's have y'all played Tina Wonderland, Tiny Tina's Wonderland lately?
I will throw up.
It's been, 4 or 5 months?
Oh, and what about that
GameStop being supported?
What about that Borderlands movie?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to bring up that Tales from the Borderlands 2. That's travesty.
Although I will say the first Tales from Borderlands was pretty good, but I haven't even touched the second.
That's why the second one's so bad. It craps all over the first one. So, they ruined, what's his name? With the beard, with the mustache.
Reese?
They ruined Reese.
Vaughn.
Yeah, they don't. Vaughn, I don't think pops up in it, but they ruined Reese really bad in it. Tales from Borderlands 2.
Reese
so
didn't
of
have
all the things that have happened to Borderlands in the last, 2.5 years.
I'm listening to both y'all like, huh?
2.5 years since Gearbox was purchased by Embracer. Rumors are Embracer has fucked it up so bad they want to sell it.
I blame Wonderlands. If anything sunk them, it was Wonderlands into Borderlands, Tales from Borderlands 2. Tales from Borderlands 2 was terrible. Like, hit it on Steam, see what it's reviewed. Tales from Borderlands 2, though, I know all the fans hated it. Like, hated it really bad. And they hated Wonderlands. So, I think those 2 games in a row are why this is happening. What do you think, Bloodaxe?
I think Wonderlands is a very major missed opportunity. But you're right. When you have back-to-back flops, granted, Tales wasn't going to be a AAA game like a regular Borderlands game. But still, you had a major fan base for the first Tales. I was talking to one of my buddies, Alpha, and he's played Tales from the Borderlands like 6 or 7 times just to see different endings.
Yeah, that's why you do the one I said.
Yeah.
30%.
But the thing, I've been playing Borderlands 3. I haven't even thought about installing Wonderlands at all because it's so terrible. There's no replay value in it.
I mean, I didn't even that many people that played Tales of Borderlands.
Oh, no, it was a bomb, dude. It did not do well. Like, you see that huge, mostly negative, and then, like, they probably tried to save it and got it up to mixed at best. But it was panned bad. And even though Wonderland says mostly positive, I bet if you go look at the concurrent players, it's probably nobody's playing it. Because I know the people, because we follow people that play Borderlands games, and they're playing 2 and 3. You know, like Moxie, Spartan, all of that. They're all playing 2 and 3 or something else. They're not bothering with it.
There's a Loot the Universe event going on right now in Borderlands 3. I've been playing Borderlands 3 with a buddy of mine. So yeah, no, it's if they can get back to their roots of Borderlands, great. But the last two things they've published has been crap. But supposedly they were working on like 5 or 6 games right now for Gearbox, but we don't know much about what those games are or what they're going to entail. But if they're up for sale, that may be a reason why they started or that got out. Is supposedly they're buying properties that are in development, which is a trick that George Lucas did to get Star Wars price up higher for Disney to purchase Star Wars. Is he said he had 3 treatments for new movies, so they bumped up the payout, and that may be something they're doing here with Gearbox as well.
To give you an example, Borderlands 3's 24-hour peak is 7,600, whereas Wonderlands is 2,000. So I mean, you've got more than triple the number of players playing a very old game, Borderlands 3, versus Wonderlands, the most recent installment.
All-time peak was 14,000.
To the 93,000
was 93,000.
So Wonderlands was a bomb, dude. It be 14,000. This Wonderlands lost out to Dying Light 2. Like, we have the later topic about that. It lost out to Dying Light 2. Wonderlands, a Borderlands game, is currently being played less than it's getting played less than Dying Light 1 and Dying Light 2. So I mean, and it never got to their peaks. So, simple truth is, Wonderlands was a bomb.
I mean, here's the thing, too. Borderlands 3, you got to understand this. Borderlands 3 was exclusively on Epic originally.
Yeah, so we're just looking at the Steam numbers.
So, the Steam numbers are after it was like a year old.
Correct.
Which is why, I mean, like Dying Light is so much higher, is because Dying Light actually came out on Steam. But
like I say, even comparing it to, like you say, 3, and we're not talking about it's all time. I'm looking at just in the last 24 hours, more than triple of people played Borderlands 3. I mean, that's just, Wonderlands was a bomb. I don't know how they got their rating numbers. You know, there's a lot of tricks, but
I think Wonderlands may have been Epic at first, too.
No, we got Wonderlands on day. We got day 1 in Wonderlands.
Oh, on console. I'm talking about on PC so Steam.
Oh, it might have been on Epic, yeah. So
I thought you were on PC, Xeno.
I was. I think I bit the bullet for you guys because y'all.
He had Epic for a while. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, because he had that membership. He was waiting for it to expire. I remember you had the 1 year thing or something.
Not on Epic, no.
Oh, but basically, Wonderlands was a bomb. Borderlands you saw the Borderlands, the Tales from Borderlands 2 was a bomb. So those 2 particular entries, we're not going to say why, Bloodaxe, be nice. But something about those seemed to have made people really not like them, and thus they messed up the franchise.
Well, I will say this, and I'm not going to do anything to get us demonetized, but the story for Borderlands 3 and for Wonderlands were both trash. I mean, I think we can all agree the main story was crap. But the DLC content for Borderlands 3 was top shelf. I mean, it was phenomenal.
And gameplay. Gameplay was damn good on Borderlands 3.
Well, and you got to think,
the replay value to be able to loot things, because you had so much more gear in Borderlands 3, and Wonderlands really dropped the ball on bringing in some of our favorite weapons. Some of the things that we've always enjoyed to play with. It was limited on what you could do. I really didn't care for the chaos rooms. I would rather go back in the world and farm bosses like the warden. I probably killed him 1,000 times looking for plague bearers. There's no boss in Wonderlands that I remotely even want to farm to try to find a weapon, because all the weapons suck. I mean, I'm using purple gear in Wonderlands. Yeah. So that kind of gives you an idea of the quality of the game development.
Yeah, but you can't. Also, you can't put all this on Gearbox. I mean, this is Embracer. This is Embracer more than anything.
Really crappy.
Also, I mean, you got to remember, Embracer was also picked up the developer. Saints Row was their fault. The Hitman game. So, I mean, they've been killing off studios left and right because they pick these studios up and then they come up with bad ideas. And honestly...
Wait, so they did vote... Oh, wow. So there's a running theme there, isn't there, Bloodaxe?
Yeah.
You remember what we said about Saints Row? Okay.
Yeah, so they were there. Yeah. They had picked up Volition, which they have now closed.
Literally shut them down.
So, I mean, Gearbox still has enough of...
Everybody's
some
waiting for
brand
Borderlands
names.
4.
Somebody can buy Gearbox and put out a good Borderlands, and people will still buy it.
No, dude, recently there were rumors that the Borderlands 4 may be in the making. Everybody was looking. I mean, and that's brand recognition. Everybody was like, I remember I looked at Bloodaxe like, did you hear, man? I think there might be, like, Borderlands 4 can make money. Yeah. Now, they need to stop doing what they were doing.
Well,
that's very important. They got to stop doing it.
They sell it off, man. True. They sell it off, and they let them do what they had been doing before.
Fire a few people. Yeah, I mean, instruct a few people to do things differently. Let's be nice. Because you know what? I think there's talent there. I think there's still talent at Gearbox. You just need to go in the office and say, here's the direction we're going.
And, I mean, when did Borderlands 3 come out?
A while back. Because we waited a year before we even got it.
Yeah, Borderlands 3 came out. But they came out before the purchase.
Yeah, we got it.
So Gearbox did that before they were bought by Embracer.
I think
that ain't their fault what they did to the main story. Yeah, Embracer's not at fault. Go ahead, Bloodaxe.
No, we got it after Love, Guns, and Tentacles, but before Gehenna.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean, it came out in 2019. So, I mean, that was 2 years before it got bought. Gearbox was already going in the wrong direction. I mean, they did some weird stuff with Borderlands 3. We all know they did. They came up with weird names for stuff that sounded worse than what they thought was offensive to begin with. You know, because they got on the whole.
I swear Tink is a racial slur, man. I swear Tink sounds so much worse.
Tink sounds so bad.
Like, I would prefer midget over Tink. If you called me, if I was just a little, I think it's called a little person. If I was a little person and you called me a midget, I'd be like, all right. I mean, I get that. You call me a Tink, I'm going to punch you in the dick.
I mean,
like, we're fighting. I would be like, what the fuck you just called me?
The problem is just like anybody else, you know, we're all human. Whether we're small, big, you know, black, white,
big,
whatever, we're all human. Because we're human, different things bother us and that don't bother other people. I know plenty of, I don't know, I'm going to say midgets because I know midgets that's the word they say to use because that's the word they go by, you know, and then you have
I've heard them use midget and dwarf and little person.
Yeah, and you have ones that say, no, it's dwarf.
It's person to person, honestly, in that community, how they feel about it. But I'm sure all of them don't like Tink. Like, that does not
sound Tink pleasant. Just sounds bad.
Well, it sounds so much like another particular racial slur they use for Asians, so it really feels like a slur.
Yeah, I mean, that ink.
Plus, it sounds like it's short for, like, Tinkerbell, so it's really rude. Ooh. It does. Like, that's why I was like, what is that supposed to be?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the thing is Gearbox has been making bad decisions. Embracer picked them up and did not put them in the right direction. Oh, no, because
Tales from the Borderlands 2 was under Embracer, and that they just said, maybe we didn't do enough.
Yeah.
Wonderland said, you know what? Let's go harder. And then it's like,
so maybe it going to somebody else, somebody can straighten about. Sadly, I don't think it's going to be
Microsoft. Dang, I wish we bought it. Oh God, I wish Microsoft would buy it.
Are you part of Microsoft now?
I am now, man. After the way they've been hating on Starfield. All right, I'm Team Microsoft. I'm tired of these ponies. That means that's PlayStation fanboys. If you don't know the slang, tired of these PlayStation fanboys whining and complaining.
I don't. Okay, so.
I'm straight
ponies?
Team Micro.
Really, ponies?
That's what they call them ponies. You need to get up in the vernacular.
That meant something else during my time.
I think that's on purpose. I think that's on purpose.
All righty then. Let's talk about Dying Light 2. So Dying Light 2 adds a premium currency.
Now, me and Bloodaxe can talk about this because we went back after all the patches not too long ago. Last October, we played Dying Light 2. We went in. That ain't that long back, man. That's only a year ago. And tell them what you thought, Bloodaxe. What did we do? A week was it? We burnt out.
I don't know. I don't know if we made 7 days with it.
We did because the quest reset in 7 days. And I remember we went and then we tried to go back and do another set because remember we were trying to do the stupid hunter quest?
Some Banshee or something. And you had to go to the witch. And it was just really weird.
Stupid once-a-week challenge. You can only fight the boss once a damn week.
But where's the zombies? You don't fight any of the zombies. I mean, it's rough.
You can get 6,500 DL points for
DL meant something back in the day.
Yeah, it did.
Keep it on the down low.
Alrighty, but no, there's a reason why we don't play that Dying Light 2 anymore, just because the replay value is also just piss poor. The one thing I miss is being able to go and re-loot all those boxes that were in the lake. But
that was fun.
We went back because they added a Game Plus, and we were trying to enjoy the Game Plus, but even we just like, you know what, this isn't fun. Let's go back and play some Gears.
But they took your grappling hook, which would have made it a lot more fun in New Game Plus. We could have been swinging all the way around. It would have been nearly as annoying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And didn't fix the bullet sponge. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If they had DLC, we might look into it, might play it, but I'm not going to pay them for premium in-game currency. That's ridiculous.
We already bought the game. We paid for the game.
Yeah.
And and like I said, they added seasonal content, but they did it like an MMO where it's like you can only do this once a day, then you can only do this once a week. And me and Bloodaxe were like, so if I go in, it takes a really long time to get what you need to be able to fight the Banshee. Then if you die, you can't try again, and you have to grind to get the ticket to fight the Banshee again, then you have to wait a week. We tried to wait, and that's why he said we didn't make a week. What you mean is we didn't have the patience to try the Banshee again. We just said, screw it, I'm tired of waiting. We literally lost interest before another chance to fight it came around.
And this all comes right after Techland has been purchased by Tencent or invested in by Tencent.
Oh, that explains it. Yeah.
Immediately the bashing comes in Steam. Gameplay is, in my opinion, wonderful. Story and DLC, all good and actually recommendable. But adding microtransactions after being bought out from Tencent was more predictable than my abandonment issues after my father left me.
That explains why he likes the story then, because only somebody used to abuse would love cutscene aided. Dude, even Angry Joe, who doesn't normally agree with our opinions on things, had his joke in his review about getting punched in the face every damn cutscene, where you're just standing there and somebody comes up and decks you in the damn mouth. You're just like,
Techland sold out to 10 cent. Let this be a reminder to the gamers that no matter how beloved your favorite game studio is, sooner or later, they'll have a downfall. This person gave it a positive review, but still said stay away from stupid microtransactions.
They did that to keep it from being deleted. That's a common occurrence.
So yeah, no, people on Steam have are DL points. Really sad to see another great dev team fall victim to higher corporate greed.
Ooh, that's a danger. What if Gearbox gets bought by Tencent?
Oh, don't
do that.
Don't say things like that.
Well, there's one good thing. China ain't about certain political views. They are. Now, one thing they're not is you know what. So if they bought it, you wouldn't see that anymore because they ain't about that.
But before you know it, you'll be charged for every time you reload your gun.
I remember that one. Oh, the famous charge. Wait, no, that's we're segueing.
We're segueing.
We're segueing. Yeah, because I just finna go like, isn't that you? Yeah.
Yeah. So Unity closes multiple offices, cancels town hall following death threat. This comes right after Unity decided to announce they wanted to charge developers for every download. I think it's like 20 cents a download. So that means if I have 4 computers. If I have a game and I want to be able to play it on my laptop or my desktop or downstairs, or whatever, and I install it 3 times, I'm costing the dev every time I install it.
That's brutal.
What's worse is that there was some talk about them trying to get some retroactive part to that where they'd be able to go after some of the existing games and hit them up.
And so, I mean, it's this really big, long thing. Of course, this is the same guy who suggested at one point
waiting till you were deep in the gameplay and then charging you to reload your gun.
Because at that point, you're invested and
you've lost your ability.
And if you just charge like $1.99 to reload, it doesn't seem like a lot. And he starts talking about the psychological advantages of basically.
Because you won't realize you're being grifted. Yeah. You'll just see it as, I just need to reload my gun. So it's designed to make you have poor judgment and take advantage of that. You know, this is the kind of guy who definitely talks people into selling crack. Like, if he was in a different profession, he'd be like,
Yeah.
"No, man, see, you're not doing nothing to them. They're coming to you for the crack. That's why you give them the first taste for free." You know, like, that's this guy. This guy's a monster. And what's bad is that Unity is what Baldur's Gate was done on. So people are already going like, oh, crap. You know what I'm saying? This could damage some. And then also, obviously, what was that game called? The one with the lamb, Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah.
Several other really popular games are on Unity.
And this is actually designed to get people like Baldur's Gate, games that were developed and paid for the Unity engine, but then were very successful. And then Unity, basically what they were saying is, well, we feel like we should get a bigger cut if it's a successful game. So after you hit a certain number of installs and people, then we start getting more money. So they're like, oh, well, yeah, we want to still charge for our engine and use for our engine. But then on top of that, if you create a successful game, we want more money from you.
Well, the reason everybody's freaking out is that there was some language in Unity that basically before it recently got pulled out that said that that's only from like this point on. And people went back and said that some of that language has been removed. So now people are worried about a retroactive charge. Now, it isn't proven. That's the rumor mill, that they're worried they may even try to go retroactively and start hitting you, which could be really bad for, like, say, Baldur's Gate, or, God forbid, mobile games is the one they're really thinking they're aiming this at, where mobile games get mass downloads. You know, they're on everybody's phones.
I think the bigger issue would not be that they retro the number of
that's
installs.
rumor mill.
I know, that's rumor mill. But what they could do, depending on how the contract was written when they bought Unity, is basically tell them, well, you either got to quit pushing this game out or sign this new contract
that doesn't have that protection. Or starts charging you from this point on. It's hard to get retro, but it could be future. It could be you can't do this anymore.
Or you're not able to sell your game anymore, depending on how the contracts were written to begin with. Now, of course, indie devs are freaking out, and I don't blame them, because basically, if their game ends up being successful, let's say I only sell my game. I'm an indie dev. I sell my game for $5 a pop or $4 a pop. You know, well, then there's also the issue of, what if I piss somebody off? Now somebody goes through and starts installing my game over and over and over. And basically Unity's reply to that was,
because, for example,
well, if that happens, you can investigate it, and if you can prove it,
which is impossible.
Yeah, and it's just
because, for example, let's look at Steam. If I have Steam on my Xbox, my PC, well, not my Xbox, you know what I mean. If I have Steam on 5 devices, Steam does not make me rebuy that game.
No.
So like you said, depending on the price of the game, I can run up the whole profit. I could run up the whole profit margin they got off that game by multiple dollars. For example, and here's what's worse. I'm glad now all of a sudden I got to defend Bethesda a little bit about having their own engine. You may not like the creation engine, but they ain't got to worry about this, because think about it. I've played Fallout 4 and Skyrim so many times, but I'm also OCD that when I'm not playing them, I delete them. So I've re-downloaded Skyrim probably 100 times over the years. 100 times.
He's not kidding.
Yeah, I go back and play it constantly. I go back and play it a lot. I just re-downloaded it recently. You were there because I got a new solid state drive, and I downloaded Skyrim, Fallout 4, Remnant 2, and Starfield onto my new hard drive. Yeah, that's another round.
You got a dedicated drive for your game, so
finally
you can keep more installed.
So basics, I don't have to delete them. And now I'm going to actually let them sit now because I have this big 2 terabyte drive. But before, he knows my solid state was small. Yeah. But that's the thing. I've re-downloaded that game so many times, I would have been costing them under Unity. If those are Unity games and it was now, I would have been literally just racking up charges. And like he said, God forbid some a-hole that knows how to do a server farm trick doesn't go. He doesn't even have to be legit. He could probably spoof a few thousand downloads, make it look like it's been downloaded, run up hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Well,
it's
and then
very
the question
dangerous.
also came up, what about piracy? You know, what about... there's a lot of ways that people could get screwed by this, and honestly, Unity's answers were very vague and left the proof to the developer. So that's even more cost to the developer, because now the developer's got to go out and do investigations, try to find some way.
Which costs money.
Yes. Find some way to prove this stuff. And then even if they do prove it, will Unity accept that proof as proof?
And then you're doing this to try to save 20 cents on a download, which means you're going to spend more investigating it than it's probably worth.
Yeah.
So it's designed for Unity to grift money off of these new devs. And like you said, indie devs is really bad because some of these indie games are $4 or $5, like you said. They're not very expensive, which makes 20 cents a download costly. And I believe it should be 20 cents a download per customer, i.e., you can't be charged repeatedly for the same person that purchased it because they only got the money once. They got the money when the game was bought. You should not charge them per download. You should not be able to make more money than the effing dev. If the dev can't be paid per download, why the hell would you charge per download? That's bullcrap, man. It's robbery. But, I mean, this is also the company that has, like I said, some of the most evil policies I've ever seen.
This is an update I missed. So this whole death threat thing was, so Polygon reported that the reporting party told responding San Francisco police an employee made a threat towards his employer using social media. So the death threat came from within its own company.
Oh no, I told you that. A lot of the people working for Unity quit. A lot of people working for the Unity quit. I mean, they were saying that devs were posting, "I quit my job." That's how bad this is, that they were like, "I don't want to work for them anymore." Now, when you got a rash of people literally quitting your company, you are immoral. You are very immoral, because people weren't quitting Blizzard, and they had the Cosby Room. That's wild, man.
There were people quitting Blizzard. There
probably
quite
were
a few people that quit Blizzard do that.
Yeah, how did they keep that? I tell you, you can pay for anything, can't you? 'Cause, that should have been louder. But you're right. Now to think about it, I'm pretty sure some people did quit. But Unity's caught up with their thing. I'm like, So I wonder if they're going to, change the pictures.
The thing is, you're introducing something into the market that's going to hurt developers. And,
and they're already paying you for the engine.
The people that work for you are developers. So they probably see it as, man, hell, a lot of developers work on little side projects. Half of them, so a lot of the
and they probably use Unity, which means they're getting affected.
Might have been using Unity to do some kind of side project, and then they just realized, well, I'm screwed now.
Yeah, they're probably quitting because they're going like, "You bastard, I'm affected by that."
Yeah.
Well, and just to put a final nail on it, it's like, what makes this so pathetic is, like you said, it's unnecessary. They're already paying for it. And that's, what? It's basically the same thing as what they're doing with Dying Light 2, where it's, I bought a game, but you want me to give you more money. But you're not giving me anything for it. And I'm sorry, I don't think whatever Dying Light 2 is going to put on its premium currency is going to be worth your damn time. I doubt it'll be worth your time. It'll probably be nonsense. Because if it is worth your time, then it's buy pay to win, which is a whole other freaking. So at this point, you're either going to give people something of no value, or you're going to get the pay to win tag on you.
The thing now, I don't want to go back to the Dying Light thing, but I do want to say, anytime you throw in something halfway through, Unity trying to back, if that's true, or Dying Light throwing in, additional currency purchases after the game's already been, I paid for the game knowing what transactions were involved when I bought it, and now you're adding new ones. It's sort of like Street Fighter 6, or was it 5 or 6?
I think it was 5.
Started throwing up the ads and all that stuff.
6 hasn't done that yet. They still have a little way to go before it's like,
no. I bought this game. I paid full price for this game, and now all of a sudden I'm getting these advertisements.
Ryu's got a friggin' logo on his back.
And whenever you tried to add some kind of marketing element to a game that people have already paid for and agreed to the content, that's an issue.
All I'm saying.
Oh, speaking of games that we bought and paid full price for, EA reportedly ending support for Wild Hearts 7 months after launch.
That's wild.
I didn't even get my DLC. I'm really heartbroken. I was waiting for Wild Hearts DLC.
Yeah, Wild Hearts was the newest and latest competition for the Monster Hunter franchise.
And to me, better.
And I mean, me and Q both played it, enjoyed it.
And we played Monster Hunter, and we enjoyed it more than Monster Hunter.
I thought the content was a bit lacking. I mean, but it was its first run. And so I expected to see DLC, things being built off of it, concepts coming out for a sequel, because that's the only way you build a franchise. You have to put out a game, you have to support that game for a while, build up a fan base, and then,
Look, Baldur's Gate was a phenomenon. It's rare that in first... actually, no, even it's a 3. Baldur's Gate is a 3. You don't see a lot of games come out off the gate and just knock it out the park.
You can't use Baldur's Gate as an example, because not only is it the third of a sequence of games, it's also based off of D&D, which is massively
well-established, with a large fan base.
It's also basically a D&D skinned version of Divinity Sin, so people who played Divinity Sin already know what they're getting into. Yeah, you have all kinds of reference coming in.
You're right. It's not a new take. I don't get me wrong. We are D&D players. My favorite setting in D&D is Faerun. We're all of us are Baldur's Gate veterans. But they did something very smart that I've often said, so I can't knock them, which is they said, "Hey, we got something that works," and so they grabbed Divinity 2. And they said, you know what's wrong with Divinity 2? Nobody knows this fucking world. Let's grab, something big. And then they did that, and then they wrote their asses off on the story. I mean, don't get me wrong. Great voice acting, great story, but it's Divinity 2, combat engine mostly, in everything, almost all the parts of it. But they did an amazing recreation. It's the most accurate recreation. We got to give them credit now. No, we're going to be fair. Most accurate recreation of 5e I have seen. Problem is, not as big a fan of 5e as I am some of the other systems. And we played so much Divinity 2, I'm burned out. I just can't play any more Divinity 2. And Baldur's Gate, every time I've literally pulled the videos of the combat, and I'm just like...
Dude, they did great marketing. Let's be honest, dude. They took something that already existed, basically marketed as if it was a brand new... they appled it. Then on top of that, they took another play out of the marketing book. They created controversy with all the sexual content and all that stuff that got people talking about the game right before the release. They did a magnificent job on marketing, and they have the success to show it. I mean, I can't blame them for any of it.
And it makes sense because they had the game to back it up. They got your attention with the controversy, but then when you got there, you found a really good game.
I mean, I still plan on playing it. I'm not really into turn-based games right now.
Sorry, man. After Remnant 2 and Elden Ring, I'm feeling getting in there, buddy.
Well, dude, I can't do that Me and you both played like a good 100 hours on Divinity Sin 2. So, I mean, I've played all the Baldur's Gates. I've played, Icewind Dale. I picked up Baldur's Gates when they got the enhanced versions and played them some. And honestly, turn-based RPGs are just not doing it for me right now. So that's my biggest thing with Baldur's Gate.
Maybe when I get older and the reflexes are gone, man, I'll get back in it. When you're too old to do the Dark Souls, the Souls-like, you'll be like, I guess I'm back to turn-based.
But that's why I enjoyed Wild Hearts, man. It had good action. It was had some interesting new concepts they added into it. I
actually enjoyed the faster-paced combat than Monster Hunter. The reason I liked it is that the battles felt way more visceral because of the higher speed and the more options. I'm in the middle of battle. And I'm building stuff to run around. I'm bouncing enemies off of it. That level of action. But it was a new game. To get back on point, good pullback, is that it was a brand new game. For a first...
It had cross-play that worked.
Yeah, from the door. Mobility. I felt like I could get around the map so fast in that game. And the ability to build your camps where you want, I mean,
love
just
the
so
mobility on it. Now, I mean, obviously, my play style, when you give me mobility, I end up finding a bunch of broken areas, but fall through the earth a few times. But
we were bragging. We're on Root World and Remnant 2. We can't find that armor. We don't know how to get to it. We can see it. We can't get to it. I said, Zeno can find anything. He found the way to the armor. Now, for all we know, he no-clipped to it because, again, you are the master of getting on the edge of something and getting stuck. Like, I'm surprised you haven't fell through the planet 4 or 5 times in Starfield.
Yeah, well.
There we go.
Or have you?
But the thing is that I feel like 7 months on this game is not fair that you didn't even give it its DLC. I feel like the game had the potential to become a contender. I'm not saying it's better, because I will say this to be fair. The reason we also didn't like Monster Hunter as much was a very bad call they made, which is they introduced a bunch of nerfs that came from Sunbreak or whatever's DLC without putting the buffs in, but also without making the DLC purchasable yet. So you had to wait a bunch of months to buy the DLC that gave you the balances to go with those nerfs, a.k.a. they pulled a Season 1 Diablo 4, where they kind of like, we're going to throw all this in. You're going to have to wait for us to fix it. So it did give a sour taste, but still, that's not as big as the fact that Monster Hunter had a lot of features that Wild Hearts had a lot of features I wished were in Monster Hunter. Like, I love the camps. I love setting up the camps I want, because his was so different from mine. Like, we just, this amazing where he would put stuff versus where I would put stuff. It was an interesting style. I was waiting for the DLC to go back.
Michael in the chat room says, I would love a Drizzt game with the Baldur's Gate mechanism. He was in the first one briefly, but a backstory would be great. I would say, man, I would love a Drizzt game with the Skyrim type.
Actually, I'm going to tell you the best system. Actually, let's take a moment. We got a bit of time. Name your favorites. If you were going to have them do a Baldur's Gate game again or a D&D game, and you using a game we played before to make it easy, what combat system would you guys pick as your top system for a D&D game? Thinking,
Drizzt actually, I think it would be awesome with the what's the creation. Or what's the Skyrim engine again?
That's sorry. Creation engine.
Yeah, the creation engine. But also Elden Ring. Oh man, because I mean,
Souls-like,
a
little bit more Bloodborne. That higher, the higher speed.
Oh,
you want that Bloodborne.
Awesome what do you think, Blood?
I was thinking, it's really hard to do Drizzt justice. In a game.
Like answer.
Huh?
No, good. I'd say you're going to like my answer. When I got one that neither one of y'all thought of for Drizzt specifically.
I've got one other, but I'll wait for you.
I would love to see Drizzt in like a Soul Calibur engine, to where you have the parries and the combos and things like that. That's where I think he could really shine. But
what about D&D like party? Like, if you had a D&D party like in Baldur's Gate 3, what engine do you think would be, what combat system from a previous game to help people instead of making one up, would you think would be best?
KOTOR.
That's a good one. All right. For me, I'm going to do D&D party. D&D party, I still say that my best experience I had with a party, especially with all the programming and variables I could set, was Dragon Age Origins for a party. It was so great. I had guys doing exactly what I wanted, but I didn't have to micromanage them. The magic felt good. The melee combat felt good.
But Dragon Age Origins is basically turn-based, dude.
Oh, was it?
It was. It had.
I set my guys to what they could do, and I went in.
Yeah, you can. You could. You could set the AI and all that.
Well, you're going to need a little bit of turn-based.
Some turn-based
elements.
I
said it because it's D&D. For D&D is turn-based,
so
you're not going to get all the way. Now, for my boy Drizzt Do motherfucking Erden, nah, man. There was one game that got it right, and we're still waiting for the second game, Dragon's Dogma. Oh, the Ranger in Dragon's Dogma was fun. And being able to climb on giants with Drizzt and get to shanking them suckers and use that bow. You must have never played the Ranger in Dragon's Dogma if you don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, dude, that is the best Drizzt engine. You play, if I was going to play a game when you specifically play as Drizzt or Erden, give me Dragon's Dogma's combat engine. no hold, like just the best ranger I've ever played in a game. Best ranger. Archery was fun. Swordsman was fun. And Drizzt is notorious for getting on the weak spots of enemies and killing them. You remember that. With Giants, he often would get in there, get the ankles, jump on that back. When he was the Ravager, he specifically was known for ambushing enemies and jumping on them, and that was what he was known in his Ravager mode. So Dragon's Dogma has a great combat engine.
So my other was the fast pace of it. I think would do good, and that's whatever Darksiders was using, man. Think of Drizzt and Darksiders. I think that would be cool.
Point. That's a high speed over the top, but it's good.
Yeah, I mean, in the second one, Death really was kind of slick, and he had a lot of flexibility and mobility.
You had
which
equipment.
Would be more of
you
a,
had
and, do what?
I said you had equipment. You had various abilities. You could modify that and I think make a really good Drizzt game.
I agree. Now, if you did a multiplayer, I'd say, I know it's going to sound weird, but you need to polish up the melee a bit. But Remnant 2 is a fun multiplayer game. And if I could play Remnant 2, you know what I'm saying? If I could play a Remnant 2 style engine with you guys, but I'm Wolfgar, because I know, you know the axe. The axe is Wolfgar, and the Krell axe.
Yeah.
And, like, you had dual-wielding Drizzt, you had a tanky Brunar, and you had Caterpie with the bow. Remnant 2's got a pretty decent combat engine to replicate the heroes.
Let's see.
That's a good question. But for multiplayer, and I say that because I wanted to pick a game that has multiplayer that we know works. You know what I'm saying? Because like Bloodaxe recently,
so it's using the Unreal Engine.
Oh shit! Well, but I mean, but it would be a good engine for it because Bloodaxe just got his Stonebreaker sword, and he's going all friggin' Siegfried on the game now, running up, just slamming enemies, and I mean, it's a good engine. It would need some polish to do Drizzt, but then again, it would get that because that would be, you know, that's a pretty big franchise.
Yeah, so Elden Ring uses the proprietary engine.
Elden Ring's multiplayer is
Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Sekiro.
It would do good for a Drizzt game, but multiplayer, the best multiplayer game I played in a while.
Dark Souls 3 is using the Havoc engine. Is that it?
Huh.
It says
it says Dark Souls 3.
Havoc.
I don't know how good Dark Souls. I don't know what Dark Souls 3 ranks in the Souls likes for popularity. But no, man, like Drizzt, even the Sekiro style combat would be fun for Drizzt, though challenging. But for multiplayer, out of multiplayer games I played recently that have different types of combat, Remnant 2 is probably one of the best. Like if they'd have done Dark Alliance with the Remnant 2 engine, we would have played a lot more Dark Alliance. Am I wrong?
Dark Alliance has so much potential.
I mean, if they'd have done that, if they'd have used that same combination for Remnant 2, even just the way it is now, it's better.
But
they would have that.
Engine, man, that's epic money.
That's well, I mean, Wizard of the Coast sucks too. So if we're doing D&D, you just got to accept that in general. So it's like, you know, to get a good game, money's gonna go to a-holes. I mean, I love Kingdom Hearts. That's Disney. So you know, it is what it is. But that's it. I just want to throw that little wish list out there. But I think that it's a hard call, too, which one is better because that Bloodborne engine would be really good with Drizzt, but so would the Dragon's Dogma. I can't say which one's the best out of the two. It's hard.
So Baldur's Gate's using a Divinity engine.
Oh, then why were people saying it's going to be affected by the Unity thing?
So they have their own engine for that. Divinity 4 engine powering Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, that's good. That means they won't get hit by that nonsense.
Anyway.
But anyway, like you said, I mean, but it is a shame, you know, Wild Hearts is dead in the water. Doesn't mean there won't be a sequel. They said they're stopping support for the current game. But if you didn't even put out DLC, you're probably not making another, which unfortunately puts Monster Hunter back on top as a monopoly. And with what they did with Sunbreak, that just means I'm probably not going to play any more Monster Hunter. My Monster Hunter days are done because I don't like the way they did it. They have a lot of they have a lot of BS. Like, I've looked more into it since we got it. We got it with a lot of DLC in it, but before that, it was very transaction-y. So,
oh, no, Monster Hunter is definitely a franchise with that.
So,
not to cut you off, but Mrs. Bloodaxe needs attention. So, do we have any other topics we're going to talk about today?
Last up, we have some Xbox Starfield stuff, but if you want
we
to
got to roll, man.
just bail.
Yeah. Go ahead and bounce me out. I need to go take care of family business.
Hi, man.
Is that what they call it these days?
Yep.
Hurry up unless you want to catch some of that. That'd be an interesting version of the live feed.
All righty. Anyway, it's
Hey.
just us two again. Look at that. Last up, we have Xbox. Apparently, for Starfield not to be doing well.
Well, according to certain people, because
According
it's
to certain
doing well.
people, Xbox Series S and X UK sales have jumped 76% on the Starfield launch. So in the UK, Xbox is which I mean, I don't know
76%
how
jump.
big 76% is, because from what I understand, the Xbox was not doing great in the UK.
It's still good, though. That's a big jump,
but,
even if you weren't doing well.
But yeah, no, it is a big jump. So the launch of Starfield caused a huge jump in sales there. And, yeah, I mean, we're still playing Starfield, man. I mean, we've been playing, 2 weeks now?
I've already started over to try out some different stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'm already on playthrough 2.
I'll be honest, I've already installed a couple of mods for the UI. Nothing major, nothing cheaty, but
Just that UI, though, needs a coat of paint.
Waiting to see what happens with Starfield. I mean, we haven't really seen a big update yet. I will say it gets buggier the more I play it, man. I'm still loving it. I'm still having a great time.
It's the opposite. I've been having, I haven't seen bugs in a while.
Well, you started
Oh,
over.
well, that's because that's because I switched it to a solid state, because I was accidentally playing it on my non-solid state drive. So, like, for me, compared to before, the bugs dropped significantly when I switched to an SSD, which is relevant for the upcoming topic.
Well, you know what Todd Howard
Apologies,
says.
so you may need to upgrade your PC for this game.
You played the part before that. No, you jumped.
You may need to upgrade your PC, man.
No, play the part before that.
You actually want context?
Yeah, I want context.
But nobody wants context.
Why did you not optimize this game for PC?
We did. It's running great. It is a next-gen PC game. We really do push the technology, so you may need to upgrade your PC for this game, but it's got a lot of great stuff going on in it, and the fans are responding awesome.
Oh, so there's context.
Yeah. He said, he got asked about the optimization. He said, it's running great on the PCs we've suggested. He said it's optimized. It's meant for next gen. So I don't know why everyone's freaking out on what he said and throwing a fix. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a next-gen game. You can't play a next-gen game below spec or you're going to get performance.
Well,
Except you can, because I was doing it.
Yeah.
This guy, I'm dumb. I wanted to use a larger drive on my computer because I told you I had a tiny solid state.
He had a 512 gigabyte drive for a solid state, which already had his Windows installation on it.
So I didn't have a space. So I put it on my bigger drive, which unfortunately was a solid state. And I still played 40-plus hours of Starfield. Was it buggy? Was it slow? Yes, but it was playable. So I'm going like, it plays. But unless you put it on a non-solid state, I don't see how you're having trouble with the game. When I put on my solid state, I immediately turn the settings up. Haven't had a problem.
Well,
Nobody's floated off.
It's
nothing.
definitely a game that requires a gaming PC. You got to have a good video card. You got to have a decent amount of RAM. You got to have a solid state drive.
But they said that. It's the specs for the game made that very obvious.
It's exactly the specs for the game. The specs for the game, if you look on Steam, specifically mention, a good video, several video card generations, stuff like that.
Michael's clouded in the
I
chat.
know. He caught me. He caught me with that one.
That's for your wife, buddy. That ain't for Starfield. The wife says size may not count, but Starfield says, get your SSD out, baby.
Yeah. So you definitely got, damn it. I forgot where I was. Oh, yeah. So anyway, yes, it does require a bit of a beefier PC. I mean, you probably want about a mid-range gaming PC to play this. You don't want a low-end gaming PC. You definitely want something more in the mid to high range.
But that's going to be any current game.
But
Like that's
yeah,
what I'm
it's a
going.
new
Like, how
game.
are they complaining about this? I'm fairly sure that if you can't run Starfield and I was running it on a friggin' non-solid state and you're having that much trouble, you probably also have trouble with most current games that have come out this year. God forbid you try to play like the big Horizon Zero, the bigger games. I bet they friggin' bum your PC completely out.
Yeah.
Starfield's not that demanding.
Now, I'll say, are there things they could have done better? Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
DLS,
That one's a big.
Several things didn't come out that probably should have with the game, but we also know, it's been talked about, there were some internal struggles, there was this, there was that, there was deals, blah, 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 and confusion or whatever. Anyway, they are fixing a lot of that.
Our boy Flynn's in the chat, and he's saying the same thing. He said most games require at least a high-end and mid-range specs, and that's true. I upgraded my PC to mid-range, to mid-high range, because you need that to play the games that are coming out. So, I'm like, that's not a complaint that is valid enough for the response. We're not saying it's not a valid complaint. We're saying the way people are freaking out at what he said, I'm like, no, dude, you do need a mid-range PC to play it, and nobody thought that would be the case. When Skyrim first came out, for its time, people needed to upgrade their PC to play it on high-end settings. I remember Fallout 4 when it came out. People were like, hey, if you don't have this video card, you got to put it on low. Yeah. That's new games. That's why I own an Xbox X, or an S. It's because Xbox One ain't going to cut it for the current games. Some of them released an Xbox One version. Guess what? It's crappier. That's just gaming tech. So, if you want a game as big as Starfield, you're going to need the PC to run it. I don't understand the complaint. I just don't. I'm like, yeah, it's a freaking Bethesda game. It's going to be PC intense. They always are, because they render a lot, and the creation engine's a freaking brick. It's nice, but it's hefty, and it's demanding.
Oh, yeah, it is definitely heavy. One of the things with the creation engine is, it's specified for, it's specialized for this type of game. It's specialized for a bunch of junk. Bethesda games are full of junk, interactable junk.
You walk in a room and there's like 30 to 40 things you can pick up and move in that dang room. You can sit here, you can sit there, you can get the table, you can pick up this spoon, you can pick up this plate. Yeah. You don't think that's going to require specs?
And so on top of that, Starfield is also, it is probably one of the most populated games I've ever seen from Bethesda.
I've not seen a game. Bethesda? Name another game with that many NPCs walking around. It has some of the most populated period when you're in town.
As far as interactable NPCs, yes. There's games
you
like
shoot,
games like Cyberpunk, stuff like that have a lot of NPCs, but they're all dumb NPCs. Where I will say,
yeah, you can pick every NPC's pocket. Every NPC has something in their freaking pocket. I want you to think about that, bastards. Every mofo walking around has a fully existing NPC who you could shoot, fight. They have hit points. They have armor. They might have a gun, and they have a pocket with an inventory. I think the problem is people are so used to these half-ass games that they forgot what a real game looks like.
Oh, yeah. And that is the thing. Every container has an inventory. Occasionally the containers for specific quests are not pre-generated. For the most part, they're already decided what's inside there. Also, on top of that, you have books and all this stuff. The number, don't miss a book, man, because if I try to remember. When it's tough trying to remember every book I picked up, because half the time I'll pick up a new book, and usually you can tell by the price. The higher priced books are often related to a quest. Just
nothing else, you can go to a killer city and sell them to the lady that likes old Earth books.
But several books I've picked up have opened up quests. Listening to conversations just in between citizens have linked to quests.
That's what shocked me is that I was recently doing a quest, and that's why I started over, because I wanted more options, because I said, man, I bet I could do even more if I had this background trait. But, they were saying against Baldur's Gate that Starfield doesn't have any choice, and I'm like, This quest gave me like 4 resolution choices right off the bat. It immediately said, you want to do this, you can go hack the computer, you can go do this, or you can go complete this science project. And I'm just like, what do they mean there's no choices on how to do stuff here? I'm like, I feel like, while yes, there is always going to be some linear, because a well-written quest has to, otherwise you can't write it that well. Here's the problem I've always said. Linear is going to happen in a well-written story. Otherwise, the story can't be well written because you have to leave it more open to allow for more variety.
But almost every quest has at least 3 ways to solve it, either through subterfuge, social, or violence.
Yes.
You know, and then some of them have multiple subterfuge, multiple
different ways.
Social, and multiple violent ways to do it. Usually there's always, just one violent way to do it, and that's to kill everybody. But there is usually, several ways to do it.
Sometimes it's to kill these guys or these guys or both of these guys.
Point of it is we're still playing Starfield. We're enjoying it. Mods are starting to come out now. The big mod creator doesn't come out until next year. But
did you hear what Flint said he found?
I think he's talking about Skyrim there.
Oh, I hope so, because like it's Starfield.
Because I have pickpocketed somebody in Skyrim and found like a severed
human finger in their pocket. That's awesome.
I have not seen anybody with severed pieces in Starfield yet, but I haven't really been pickpocketing in Starfield.
I just got the skill. There are a lot of weird things in people's pockets, I will say. Like they said, you need to get theft, you're missing stuff. They're not wrong. Yeah, he said Skyrim. But that's what I'm saying. When you consider what's going on, and when you walk into a town, how much is going on, and each individual, you realize that's going to be demanding.
Dude, there's so many things that are interesting. And here's the problem. I can go on and I can talk about some of the really interesting stuff, but then I'm spoiling it. And I don't want to do that.
Like best new game, a concept I've seen in a while. I will say,
just exploring, you come across some very interesting stuff. You come across unique stuff that ends up having almost a better story than the actual main story. Let's be honest. Bethesda side quests are known for being in depth and incredible. And I will say that Starfield kept up with that. If you don't go around and search for side quests, you're missing out.
And if you think the world is empty, that's because you're not clicking on the worlds where the side quests are. They have the dots on it. You'll look at the map, and it'll be like something's down here. If you go to a moon that has 0 fauna and flora, there's nothing there. Because there's nothing there, dumbass. It's not got an environment.
I'll give people this. Some of that's not really explained well. Like, Starfield did not do a good job of going, this is how you find stuff. This is, this is the importance of scanning places. This is the importance of going to areas you have not flown through. Now, of course, I'm an exploration maniac, so I go through and hover over each one to see if I have taken that route before. Also because I'm like, well, I need to take the route at least once so that my flight paths are more optimized.
Which they also don't explain that well.
Yeah. And it's things you figure out.
But they say a lot of that's in the help menu, actually.
Okay. I did not read the help menu.
Yeah, they actually said a lot more than you think's in the help menu, so damn it, they got me on that. That it's like, oh no, it's in there.
All right.
I was surprised too. I found that out. But the game is not, I'm not saying the game's game of the year. I'm just stating that I feel a lot of people that are slamming the game are slamming it and they haven't even touched into the gameplay. Like, one particular person, I think is Endymion, was saying the game doesn't have any powers in it. And people are like, you need to play a little more of the campaign, buddy. Same thing. Another person said the planet, so there's nothing in the galaxy. And I'm like, every galaxy I go to, there's a little dot and there's a quest. Like, I barely went to a galaxy where wasn't something going on.
Now, there may not be a quest until you go there.
It may pop up when you get there.
You may find the quest by exploring there. So, anyway, fun game. I'm enjoying it, and apparently it is selling Xboxes. And this is the whole point of exclusivity. They couldn't beat Sony because Sony was doing exclusivity and they were selling consoles because of it. This was Xbox's game to sell consoles, and apparently it's working. Sadly, this is probably going to mean more games from Xbox-owned studios are going to be exclusive because they're going to see it selling console. You
What
know,
do you mean sad for you? It's going to come out on PC. Xbox is not going to not put it on PC.
I have an Xbox. My thing is I'm not a big fan of exclusivity.
I mean, I agree.
But I mean,
Sony started it,
this
man.
is pushing. This is going to push the market further and further into exclusivity.
This is Sony style, though. Sony started the big exclusivity push outside of Nintendo. Like, Sony came in hard. They literally pay people to not put their game on Xbox. So they've created the environment we're in. It sucks that Microsoft has to now play by their rules, but it could be stopped any day. I fully believe Microsoft will be happy to look at PlayStation and go, why don't we stop this and just put all the games out and see who wins? PlayStation will never do that because they do not have confidence in their product. Because that's the only reason you do that. You don't have confidence that your console is going to win if it's an equal market. So they're trying to hedge the bets as hard as they can. Why do you think they fought that purchase so hard? Despite all they do is buy companies and go exclusive, they're terrified that Xbox might get some games they don't have. That's the coward's way. And it's weird because they're winning enough that it isn't like they go out of business, but they're scared. And I'm going to say it, they are. You know why? And I don't know why, because from what I understand, the PlayStation is supposed to be a better system with better specs. If that's the case, why do you keep using so many low blow techniques? If that's the case, unlock all the games. I think that'd be great. Unlock all the games, put them all out there, see who makes the money.
I would say as a console, I do believe Xbox, having utilized both UIs, Xbox UI is a lot more cleaner than PlayStation's UI.
But from a tech spec, they claim that
as a tech, it does have slightly better specs.
Now I'm with you that I think UI is more important. We literally just downloaded a UI for in-game. But my thing is just that you've got enough of the market to stop being petty, buying companies, and paying people to not put stuff out.
Yeah.
It's childish. And worse, it's a risky endeavor because it could blow up in your face if Xbox gets something big. Like, the only reason it isn't worse for PlayStation is because Redfall bombed. Like, Redfall was another exclusive. It did not do what it needed to do. If it had launched off and jumped off, it would be even worse. You know, but luckily, it wasn't until Starfield came out. But Starfield's going to be around for 4 or 5 more years. Easy. People are going to be playing it. The player base for Starfield is not going to drop off. It's going to keep going. You know why? Because mods. Mods are going to keep it. Like, you want to see steady concurrent numbers? It's going to be steady. And then every time a DLC jumps off, it's going to shoot through the roof. And then there's another thing down the road. So I'm not worried about Starfield because you want to know the real PlayStation Slayer? It's going to be effing Elder Scrolls. When the next Elder Scrolls comes out, that's going to be huge. Because Elder Scrolls may be the most played game on the planet almost. It is like the game everyone's waiting for. All Todd's got to do is come out and go, yo, we're working on Elder Scrolls 6. That'll sell Xbox as just that statement. If he came out and said, all right, guys, so we're working on Elder Scrolls 6 now, sales are going to jump just then. Like Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be the thing that they got to be scared of.
Michael in the chat room says, I've played Xbox. I found Xbox is better visually, but PlayStation has better play controls. Just my opinion, Q. I will say, personally, I enjoy the Xbox controls better, but I've also, on my PC, I use an Xbox controller. You know, on top of that, I also own an Xbox. And I think it also has to do with size of your hands. I think the Xbox controller seems to fit my hands better. PlayStation controller seems awkward in my hands.
Feels small. It feels weird. Basically, this is for me. This is a personal thing. Using all the buttons on the Xbox feels harder for me. The triggers and stuff, it just doesn't feel as organic. Whereas on the Xbox controller, man, I'm hotkeying, I'm all over the controller. I have an easier time using it based on its size, you know? And every button feels very accessible.
Yeah. My other thing is just from my old days in Nintendo, I'm used to having an A-B button. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the X, Y, A-B.
X, Y, not some triangle, square, circle. And it shouldn't throw me, but it does. I'm just like, triangle, square. No, I know where Y is. I know where A, B is. And those are recognizable symbols that fit in my head better than these shapes.
Yeah, my hand doesn't hurt. I don't get tired. I have easy access to the buttons for me, but it may also be just experience because since Halo, I've gotten very comfortable with this controller. Yeah. But when I go to a friend's house and he whips out a PlayStation, he has a PlayStation controller, I'm at a disadvantage immediately.
I also like the alternating
sticks. Yeah, I do.
Versus the sticks being down low.
And then the pad being up there.
The pad being up there. But like I said, it is a preference thing. It is definitely a preference thing. And I'm not going to say anybody's right or wrong there. But, yeah.
Plus, on top of that, Xbox, PlayStation just recently went up on their friggin', Xbox Play, the PlayStation Play price, which I don't know why. Because they don't because here's the biggest thing. All right. Yeah, I talk a lot about being on Microsoft team, but in reality, it's just whatever one's is good. And right now, first day release, Starfield just came out for people on, like, Bloodaxe is playing Starfield. I don't think PlayStation puts its games out day one. I just haven't heard of that. Where they, I don't think Horizon Zero Journey West came out on Xbox, on PlayStation Plus when it came out. They're not releasing their new games that way. So it just doesn't match the value.
I think God of War may have came out.
That's a good one if it has. If it has, we'll call it, man. Find out. That's a good question. But, there's for my money value, I get my money out of Xbox Play versus Xbox Game Pass. I don't know. Now, I don't own a PlayStation. That's why I said I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not familiar enough with them either to be able to tell. But, it's definitely, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up, man.
Yeah, last thing is Flynn was saying that he believes that Starfield will live as long as Skyrim. Dude, I think it's going to outlive Skyrim. You're 100% right. I'm agreeing with you because if you've played a lot of Skyrim modded and Fallout 4 modded, a lot of the most popular mods are them adding sci-fi stuff, adding Mass Effect, adding Halo, adding Warhammer Space Marines. They've done a lot of mods on that.
I think Skyrim will live until the next Elder Scrolls comes.
True.
I think Fallout will live until the next Fallout. And it's because they're all moddable, but they're all different environments. And so the best way to do a sci-fi mod is going to be in the sci-fi game. The best way to do a fantasy mod is going to be in the fantasy game. What I'm just saying,
though, is that they were so desperate for a sci-fi setting, they were modding.
Well, yeah.
I had Cortana as a companion in Skyrim. They've been modding in the sci-fi stuff. Now they've got the setting for it. And now with ships, too, they're going to go crazy once they get seriously into it.
It's one of the things with the creation engine that... That's the point, and that's, honestly, listening to what Todd Howard and them are talking, they're trying to make these big, massive, moddable games because they want these games to live forever. That's the whole point.
Dude, I might go back and play some Skyrim or Fallout. I've been considering going back and playing some more Fallout with the Horizon mod on it just because it's fun. And now I have it on the right dang drive, so I now know why it was playing funky because, I put it on the wrong drive. Now I got that big solid state. So I've been tempted to go play Fallout 4 again. That is how good the mod effect. I believe, so we know it, we'll meet in the middle. You're right, those will still be around. All I'm saying is that I think Starfield, once they get the mod software out, is going to have one of the fastest, this is just a guess, mod explosions we've seen where they're just going to hammer it. It's going to go through the roof just because they're going to port over these mods they made. They're going to grab the Space Marines, the Spartans, the Spectre N7, and they're going to start hammering. They're going to grab the Xenos. They're going to throw those in there because they've been waiting a long time. Already there's Mandalorians. I told you that. There's already Mandalorian armor looks freaking awesome. They're going to grab that stuff and quickly. And I didn't even think about Star Wars. So yeah, this game's going to get modded through the nose. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be nothing but a win for us. Remember, people, to make a separate save and tuck it away before you mod your game so that you don't lose it, because it's a long time leveling these friggin' perks. God, it takes a long time to blow up. I got my pilot to 4 already because of the simulator. But, dude, blowing up 30, then 15, it's you got to blow up a total well over 50-something ships to finish that straight.
Oh no, dude! Trust me, I just started picking up the perk to increase my reactor size and realized it's just another perk that requires me to blow up ships to level. And I was like, crap, I gotta go blow up more ships.
Simulator. Go to the flight simulator.
Yeah. But anyway.
Persuade's the roughest for me, dude. Finding 5 conversations and then 10 conversations. There ain't that many dang people. By the way, little tip for our Starfield players. You can, when you go to certain bars, you'll see people you can hire. You can actually negotiate with those people for their salary and then still not hire them. It's a quick way. You only do it once, but it's a quick way to build up your persuade. As you go in, ask them how much they want to get hired, negotiate the salary down, then tell them to go jump out of an airlock, go to the next guy. It is the only way in the game I know to level that perk quickly.
Quick way to find those people, go to any bar.
Yeah, they're in the bars. New Atlantis is right off the port. They have one, and then they have one in the Killer City. They have one on Sardonia.
I mean, there's a couple of places in New Atlantis where you can pick up people. There's also the Whale has a bar where you can find a couple of people.
You're right. I forgot about that bar. So you can rack it up because some of those challenges take a while to rack up. But all right, then. There you go.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out Dicejunkies.com where you find out links everywhere we are online. Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever we post something or go live. Thanks for watching us every week.
We hope you